Hello, everybody. Bait 215 here. Sorry if it seems like weird seeing the TV. It's just there. It has stupid win conditions. And if somehow it actually does win, it's a laugh of G. Uber. Next, we have my Asban deck, which is Saprolings. It's a token swarm deck. And then we have my favorite of all of my commands. So this is my Naya Dinosaurs from Ixalan, and it has some really good setups. So we're going to be going into this. So we'll start with the fun deck first, just to see if people think it's funny, stupid. Put in the comments whatever you think. All right. So let me get these two decks out of the way. Now, people who are watching this for the first time or signing on, the format is of Commander or EDH. It is a deck of 100. So it's a deck of 100. So yeah, a 100 card deck, and throughout the game, unless you cast it. So with Commander, you have to build the deck according to its colors. So I can build a deck of WooBird, which is white, blue, black, red, and green, and I can run all 5 colors, green and white. Now I can only run those 3 colors. I can't run blue or black because it's not in what the commander has. So the same with Gane, which is Asbam, which is black, white, and green. I can't run red or blue because it's not in the commander's colors. So going on to the fun deck, we're going Reaper King. So we're starting out with him. He is a 5-color commander who is a legendary artifact creature who is a scarecrow. So it is a if you're not paying the colors and going colorless for it, you have to pay 10. If you're paying for the colors, it's only 5. So it makes them a good alternative, but still expensive, but cheap at the same time. He has the ability of other scarecrows when he's on the board, and other scarecrows are out on the board as well. He gives all other scarecrows a +1/+1, so it makes them bigger. And his trigger ability is whenever another scarecrow comes into play under my control, destroy target permanent on your opponent's side. Now we have Stone Coil Serpent. Destroyed by anything that is from Guilds of Ravnica that have multiple colors. Now, if you go in colored, now if you use Thought Collapse, cancel the X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is the amount of mana you pay to bring him in. So you can actually play him turn 1 with 1 counter, or you can wait until late game and pay 12, and he's a 12/12 beater. Now there's cards called Proliferate because it has counters on there instead of just being gets +1/+1. Into that later because this deck does proliferate. Now we're going into some of our 0 drops, which is an Ornithopter. It is a 0-cost artifact creature Thopter that has flying. So its stats are anything when an artifact enters, this card will actually trigger some of the things that require artifacts to enter. And you can do that whenever, except on your opponent's turn, because something, unless it has splash or given who's a generic, it's a 1/1. So it's just a 1/1 little beginner guy just to get the game started. Now we're getting into our 1-drop, which is Mirror Mind Servant. At him, and he can shuffle your deck. So if there's something you don't like or you need a good shuffle, he can help you shuffle and actually get your deck organized in a way, or you get free shuffles whenever it comes to your turn or your opponent's turn because he's an artifact. Now, Jousting Dummy is an artifact creature, Scarecrow Knight. So it is actually a 2-type creature, Scarecrow and a Knight. So if you have cards that work with Knights, this card will work. And then like our Reaper King, because it's Scarecrow, it will trigger that as well. Now, it is a 2/1, and with its ability that it has, you pay 3 mana and you give him a +1/+0. So it makes him from a 2 to a 3. And that makes things a little more. Next is our artifact support, which is Glintless Crane. Now, Glintless Crane is flying, and it is a 1/3. When this card enters, I get to check the top 4 cards of my library and add an artifact from that to my hand. So it helps me get to what I need to faster, and it's also a good source to help me get my artifacts that I need in my hand quickly. Artifact creature wall. It is a defender. It's a 0/4 for 2. Now, this is what's really cool is artifact Scarecrow, and it has flying, a flying Scarecrow. Now, instead of having a tap ability, this has an untap ability, which is unique because there's not a lot of untapped cards that give you mana. So whenever he's tapped, you can pay 2, untap him, and add any color of mana to the mana pool. So you go to attack, all right, he doesn't die, and you need to play, but to untap another creature for a blocker, I would pay the 2 to get a creature to block. Now we're going into a generic, which is another Scarecrow, Field Creeper. It's a 2-drop artifact creature. The more you can trigger Reaper King to remove creatures and problem cards, the better this deck will actually run, and the less you have to worry about. Into another support card for artifacts, Foundry Inspector. It is a 3-drop artifact creature construct where all artifact spells that I cast cost 1 less. So it brings all the 1-drops to 0, the 2 to 1, and get a power boost. So Reaper King will go from a 6 to a 7, but it's other artifact creatures, so he doesn't boost himself. Getting up to another Scarecrow is Scuttlemutt. This is a 3-drop artifact creature Scarecrow that has 2 tap abilities. One, he's a mana rock or a mana dork, where you tap him or colors of your choice until end of turn. Now, the reason why I said Serpent was good is you combo these 2, the Serpent and Scuttlemutt. So when you swing with the Serpent and you're having a blue block, you can tap Scuttlemutt, target him, turn him into a blue-black, and he can't block him because of the protection that he has. And that what makes this fun. So you can actually turn your creatures where it says, oh, you have, let's say, him, the Serpent, and you don't want him to die by a creature that says destroy black. You can tap Scuttlemutt, turn him into a black. Still triggers because of having the ability of being every type. And it also has a fun ability of Death Touch. Now, Death Touch is when this fights another creature and any creature this fights dies. All right, so we're getting into Bloom Hulk, a nice support card. Whenever it enters, it proliferates. So it's choose any number of permanents or player. Serpent Husk, it gives it another one. Poison counters, loyalty counters for planeswalkers. Proliferate helps build the counters faster. And we're getting into another Scarecrow. Yes, it's okay if you need the color fix, but I have it in there because it's a Scarecrow to help support. And if I do have the extra mana to pass, then I'll pay the mana to help color fix. All right, continuing on. We got your Scaretiller. Now, Scaretiller is a 4-drop, 1/4 artifact creature Scarecrow. And he has an ability that can trigger either one or the other. Whenever Scaretiller becomes tapped, I can choose one of these abilities. I may put a land card from my hand and put it onto the battlefield tapped, or I can return a target land from my graveyard to the battlefield tapped. So if you have like Evolving Wilds, Terraforming Expanse, or what I have, you can bring those back to continuously use them every turn. So you can actually keep pinging or keep bringing land back. And with Inventor's Fair with this card, you can search out any artifact you want just by tapping him and bringing him out. And if he has an equipment where you ping a card person for 1 or something. Another card reducer is Jorah's Familiar. Now, historic spells are different in a way of what classifies as a historic. Now, a historic is an artifact, a legendary, or a saga. And sagas are in Dominaria and Theros. They will actually say legendary or saga. Next is Golos, that creature Scout. That is a 3/5. And whenever he enters the board or enters the battlefield, he can Berg ability. It is 2 colorless, white, blue, black, red, green. And with that, I exile the top 3 cards, in a way, cheat them in. Which the faster you can get your cards out, the faster you can actually win the game. The next 5/5 artifact creature Thopter. And creates 5/5 or 5/1/1 Thopter artifact creature tokens with flying. So he takes himself away and replaces him with 5 underlings, which is a good trade out. So that way, next turn you play him, you have 6 flyers, and you block with the little flyers. He bounces back, you play him, and it's known as the Thopter loop. Next is one of our win conditions. Let me get a better picture. There we go. This one is Atomis All Seeing. This is a 3 colorless, 3 blue. So it's a 6-drop legendary creature Sphinx. It is a 4/5. It has flying. Its mana ability is I pay 2 colorless, 1 blue, and tap, so anything you discard is exiled under Bag of Holding later and goes right back to your hand. So it cycles through. Whenever Atomis, All-Seeing, deals damage to an opponent, you may reveal your hand. And if you have cards with at least 6 different converted mana costs are revealed this way, that player loses the game. So if you have a 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that is, which is also fun because if they let this attack through and you have that ability, they basically lost the game on themselves instead of blocking. So this is one of the funny win conditions. Next is Death Grasp. It is a X, white, black, and this is our sorceries. So now we're done with the creatures. Sorry about saying that. I wasn't paying attention. So we're done with our creatures. Now we're getting into the sorceries. And it's Death Grasp. Death Grasp deals X damage, a really good trade-off. Our next sorcery is Dance of the Manse. Yeah. It is a X, white, blue sorcery. Now, build. So you have a 9, you pay 10. You can bring anything 10 from below, and you can bring up to our 4/4 creatures in addition to their other types. So if you get these signets, which are pay 1, get 2 of any 2 color from the guilds, they become a 4/4, tap 1, get 2 mana rock, which is really good. A 4/4. And because they're an artifact creature, now I'm probably going to butcher the name, Kamal's Druid Vow. Okay, never mind. Now, because it is a legendary sorcery, I have to cast this sorcery only if it's the same as the others, but it's 2 green and you pay them out. Look at the top X cards of your library. Put any number of land and free because of what you played, which is really nice. Now we're getting into a fun, and it is from Ravnica Allegiance. So those who want to play standard and play this deck, you can actually abuse if you have multiples, so it constantly keeps going where you never run out of deck. Now, one of the key cards in this deck. Next is Wanderer's Strike. So Wanderer's Strike is a 5-cost sorcery, and it exiles target creature. So it removes anything from the board that's trouble. Then you proliferate. So you remove a creature, increase all your counters, which is really fun. Sorcery speed down to one card per turn. Here comes another funny win condition. And then there's another win condition after this, which is funny as well. We got Simic's Ascendancy. Or Ascendancy. Wow. I cannot read sideways. All right, so it is a... Now, when one or more 1/1 counters are put on a creature you control, you put that many growth counters on Simic Ascendancy. Then, at the beginning of your upkeep, if Simic Ascendancy has 20 or more growth counters, you win the game. Stonecoil and Ascendancy work out. You play Ascendancy, you just leave it on there. You get, let's say, up to 20 men. 20, this is already up to 20 because I put 20 1/1 counters on Serpent. So it's a nice card combo. So I would say this is more of a combo deck than anything. Now our next enchantment is a funny win condition as well. Happily ever after. Permanents you control, and there are 6 or more card types among permanents you control and cards in your grave and red, blue, white, black, blue, black, red, green, blue, 2. All right, 1 only. Make it count. You're slowing the game down a lot. It also piece. Gotta choose, and they have to choose which one they want to use that turn and try and get rid of it because they have to try and do removal on their turn or play a creature. So it puts into the thinking, well, you can go, okay, how am I going to bait them out? Next and final enchantment is Eternal Absolution. All right, so Eternal or Ethereal Absolution. Wow, I cannot read. White, 1 black. This is my most expensive enchantment. Creatures you control get a +1/+1. 2 colorless, 1 white, 1 black. Exile target creature from opponent's graveyard. If that was a creature card, you create a 1/1 white black spirit creature with flying. So you pay 4, you get rid of their graveyard, so you can actually chain it into. All right, I'm gonna play a card that targets the card in my graveyard to bring it back. Okay. On declaration of a target, I'm going to pay 4 for Ethereal Absolution and exiling that card, causing your card to fizzle or go become a dud, and I get a creature instead because I stopped your play. Now we're getting into a fun selection, which is the Planeswalkers. There's going to be a lot of Planeswalkers in this deck. Sorry about that. We got Chandra, Acolyte of Fire. This is a 3-drop, 1 colorless, 2 red. Legendary Planeswalker, who is Chandra. Now she has 2 0 abilities and a -2 ability with a little loyalty counter start of 4. So with her first 0, put a loyalty counter on each red Planeswalker you control. So Saheeli, +1. Her other 0 is create 2 elementals, red elemental token creatures. They gain haste. Sacrifice them at the beginning of the next end step. So you get them, swing, next turn, swing, gone. You get 2 uses of them. Then her -2 ability is you may cast target instant or sorcery card with a converted mana cost of 3 or less from your graveyard. If that card would be put into your graveyard this turn, exile it instead. So you can actually play sorceries and instants for a second time with a converted mana cost of 3 or less. I'm going to be right back. One more. Hi. I am back. Sorry about that. So, our next Planeswalker is she is a 5-drop planeswalker. So it's 3 colorless, 2 green. Her static ability 4 is tap for 2, which is nice. Her +1 is put 3 +1 counters on up to 1 target non-creature land you control. Untap it. It becomes a 0/0 elemental with vigilance and haste that is still a land. So you can use it, untap a land, and then tap it for 2 more green. So it's a way to untap your land real easily. Her -8 is lands where you get her emblem. You get an emblem with lands you control have indestructible. Search your library for any number of forests, put them onto the battlefield tap, then shuffle your library. The Royal Scions. It is the twins. It is Rowan and Will. Rowan and Will. Now, with this having red in it, this counts as a red planeswalker. And a blue one. So Chandra, Acolyte of Fire, will actually increase the counters whenever she uses her 0 ability. So the Royal Scions +1 is draw a card, then discard a card. This works great with the Bag of Holding card. First strike and trample until end of turn, which is good because when you hit with first strike, the first strike cancels out Death Touch. So if they have a good Death Touch, deal damage to your creature, kills the Death Touch, and with the trample goes over and hits your opponent. It's a good way to get rid of things. And then her ult is draw 4 cards. Nice. It's a good burn. Okay. Sorry about that. Next card is Saheeli Rai. Now, Saheeli is a good card. Because we're running an artifact type deck, she's an artifact planeswalker. Like Tezzeret. So her +1 is scry 1. Saheeli Rai deals 1 damage to each opponent. So it automatically pings. Now, the Chandra also boosts her as well. Gains haste, exile it at the beginning of the next instep. So with some of the artifacts I'm going to be showing you, I can actually copy an artifact multiple times to get the ability off so I can continuously use it and actually get with different names, put them onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. Cheating out artifacts for free. Really good. Whenever I cast, it is a 3, 1 colorless. Is it hybrid? So it's red or blue. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, not a creature, you get a token right off. So her -2 is target artifact you control becomes a copy of another artifact, target artifact, or creature you control. You can have it to where you can do multiple fun things. And her loyalty counter starts at 5. Oh, well, that was a glare. Sorry if I'm going too slow and not fast enough for you. Or next is Saheeli the Gifted. Now, this planeswalker can become a commander. Is create a 1/1 colorless servo artifact creature. Her other +1 is the next spell you cast this turn Cost 1 less for each artifact you control as you cast it. So you play one, and it's let's say, it is now a 4. So it greatly reduces. And her ult, which is a -7, for each artifact you control, create a token that's a copy of it. Those tokens gain haste and get cards with counters up on really fast. Next, we have Chandra Novice Pyromancer. 4-drop, 3, 1 red. She is a Chandra Planeswalker. It's your loyalty counter starter. Let's see how many more we have. Oh, I'm going to go and make a little stack to show. Not much. Next, we have Vashra, or Vraska, the Swarm's Eminence. Now, it is a 2 colorless, goes with the Simic Ascendancy to give it a counter. It works. Now, her -2, which she starts out with 5 counters, create a 1/1 Black Assassin creature token with Death Touch, and whenever this deals damage to a Planeswalker, destroy that Planeswalker. So it helps get rid of, oh, yeah, I'll take the one, okay, Planeswalker dies. It helps get rid of annoying Planeswalkers. Next is Rowan, Fearless Spark Mage. A lot of these things start with 3 and 5. So she gets her +1 is up to one target creature gets +3, +0, and gains first strike until end of turn. So with this, it gives it Death Strike or First Strike, which allows you to get rid of Death Touch. Next is her -2. Sorry about that. Rowan the Fearless Spark Mage deals 1 damage up to 2 targets creatures. Those creatures can't block this turn. So you -2, get rid of 2 cards that you don't want to block, and then you can swing in. Then her -9, which is really good. -9, gain control of all creatures until end of turn. Untap them. They gain haste until end of turn. Your opponent tokens. She's up to 9 when those tokens come down. Next turn, I'm getting rid of that, taking all the tokens, giving them a +1/+1. Now we got 3 more Planeswalkers to go. Another win condition. Vraska the Unseen. This is a 5-drop artifact, or Planeswalker, not artifact. Gotta slow down. That is a 5 loyalty counter start. You plus her up by 1 until the next turn. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to Vraska, destroy that creature. So she protects herself. Her -3 is destroy 1 non-land permanent. Great. Removal. Her -7, though, is the win condition. Create 3 1/1 assassin creature tokens with, whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, that player loses the game. This is our 3rd win condition. No, our 4th. This is all 4 win conditions, which is funny. Now, next is Garruk, the Cursed Huntsman. Why? I love Garruk. I couldn't fit the other Garruk in because he really didn't go with the deck. This one, he goes because he does give things, but instead of creating a beast, creating worms, this one actually helps by giving me the emblem. And it gives me draw, which I needed. So it is a 6-drop, 4 colorless, black, green. So he's still a Golgari type, which luckily in Throne of Eldraine, he actually gets the change. He has a 0-drop of creating wolf tokens. Create 2/2 black green wolf tokens with, when this creature dies, put a loyalty counter on Garruk on each Garruk you. I mean, I had to fit him in. And here's that awesome wolf token. His -3 is destroy target creature, +3/+3, and half trample. You get a permanent overrun, which is a go back to his first Garruk the Wild Speaker. It gives him a +3/+3 with a drop. Ugin the Ineffable. Ugin, colorless spells you control cast 2 less to drop. Play. So artifacts are cheaper. It is a 6-drop Planeswalker. +1, exile the top card of your library face down. And I can look at it, see what it is. It becomes a 2/2 colorless spirit creature. That is it for the Planeswalkers. Now we are going into artifacts. And then after the mountains and after the lands, that will be the end of this stream for the Reaper King build. So, next is Synod Sanctum, which is really good. Remove target permanent you control from the game. So I use this to, okay, they're going to exile my Serpent or my Planeswalker. I can pay to sacrifice this and return all removed cards I control removed from the game. Sol Ring, a great 1-drop for 2 mana, and that's all it is. Tap it at 2 mana. Wand of the Vertebrae. We're actually seeing it live, me editing the deck. This doesn't really fit. I exile the wand and shuffle 5 targets back into the library, but I already have some stuff like that. I am putting the other Garruk into the deck, or in here. Now, we're going to go through and show you that real quick. Garruk the Primal Hunter. Token. 3/3 beast creature token. Now, I don't know why I didn't keep this in there, because now I'm seeing it. Draw a card on creature token for each land I control. Yeah, its ult is good. But now with the other Garruk, the Curse Hunter, these are going up along with the Proliferate stack. Alright, now going back to the artifact. Sorry about that. Traveler's Amulet. Set pay 1. Sacrifice it. Search for a basic land, add it to the hand. So it's land search. Next is Bag of Holding. Now this is the one that the discard that I said was really good. Whenever you discard a card, exile that card from your graveyard. So like the cards, so draw 2, discard 1. It will actually it would actually be exiled underneath Bag of Holding because it is the one exiling it. So you pay to tap it, draw a card, then discard it. Return all cards exiled with Bag of Holding to their owner's hand. So any card you discard is being exiled by wanting to keep, you can still keep. Now we're going into Mask of Memory, which is a equipment. Creature deals damage to a player. You draw 2, discard 1. That's where the Bag of Holding and stuff come in. Now, I'm just going to get all these out of the way. Now, the Gruul Signet is red and green. They all have the same ability, pay one, add the certain color mana. I got the Simic, which is green-blue, Dimir, which is blue-black, Azurius, which is white-blue. You are tripled. Green and blue are tripled. And only have 2 blacks, 1 white, 1 red. But this helps color fix the stuff I need. I did the Signets as a group because they all do the same thing. Contagion Clasp. So, Contagion Clasp enters the battlefield, put a -1 counter on target creature. It gives them the well-known poison counter. You pay 4 and tap it, and you proliferate. So you produce 1 of each counter, which is great. So loyalty counters, poison counters, 1/1 counters. It helps get the win condition off. So this is another proliferate. I have a total of 3 proliferate cards in this deck. I have Time Sieve. Now, Time Sieve is a blue and a black. I tap it, sacrifice 5 artifacts. I can get around that because of the cards I have that allows me to bring artifacts back. And shuffle my deck into the library and stuff like that. I sacrifice 5 artifacts, tap it, I take an extra turn. This is one of my extra turn cards. Really good. And it doesn't state what artifacts, so they can be artifact creature tokens. Get rid of the 5 Thopters. Oh, I still have Assembly. Assembly comes back. Create 5 tokens. Oh, my turn. I'm going to tap this, sacrifice those, play the Thopter. All right, now it's my turn to bounce these back, get the tokens, sacrifice the tokens, play the Thopter Assembly. I get another turn. And it's known as the infinite turn loop. Or Genesis Chambers. What this does is whenever a 1/1 Myr artifact creature token into play. So I play the Thopter. I get a token. Oh, it bounces back. I get a play, which is really fun, is Magistrate Scepter. Well, if I already go through and tap it, the Time Sieve, and I get my second turn, I can get a turn after the Proliferate ability, get multiple more counters on there, tap it, get all the turns I need. Next upkeep, pay it, do another turn, get the tokens, get another turn. So I can do multiple turns with playing the artifacts and pay at any time because of it's an artifact. Adds 1 colorless and I gain a life. So it helps out very well. Another mana adding for color fixing is Spinning Wheel. I can also pay 5, tap it, tap target creature. So if they go to block, okay, I'm just going to block. I'm going to pay 5, tap it. This is a 4-drop artifact. I get to look at the top card at any time. So I can keep going. Oh, okay. So this works with Eldrazi's as well. Oh, I like that. Cast it. So it helps get stuff where I don't reduce my hand and I can play off the top of my deck. And I can pay 1 life, exile the top card in my library. Now, a great card for artifacts, Unwinding Clock. Sacrifice, gain a turn. So on my untaps, I can basically get multiple turns with it. And my most expensive artifact is a legendary, the Magic Mirror. Who is the fairest of them all? This cost. But it gives me ability of no hand size. And at the beginning of your upkeep, put a knowledge counter on Mage's Mirror, the Magic Mirror. Then draw a card for each knowledge counter on Magic Mirror. So it's at the upkeep. So upkeep, it gives me 1. Okay, my turn goes and I proliferate, and then my normal draw. this is really good to help me dig through my deck. And that is the last artifact. Next, I'm just going to set these out where you can see it. Now I'm going to set this up in the correct color combination that it needs to be. White, blue, black, red, and green. The WooBird colors. These are my basic lands. 2 plains, 2 islands, 2 swamps, 2 forests, and 2 lands. Now, I do have the Scrylands, so they enter and tap the temples. They enter and tap and you scry one. And I have 5 temples of Plenty and Temple of Milady. And yes, the beginning color. So it helps color fix and allows me to scry. Now, my actual land search cards. Sacrifice it, and I get to search my library for two basic lands that share a land type, and put them onto the battlefield shuffle. So land type, 2 forests, 2 mountains, 2 plains. So if it goes through and I have everything and I need, they do the same exact thing. Sack 'em and Jund Panorama. They both run mountain and forest, but one is the Esper. So I pay 1, sacrifice it, get a base. So these are there for mana and for land search. Now, the Urza lands, Urza's power plant. So power plant and mine have the same ability. If you control all 3 of power plant, mine, and tower, these 2 tap for 2 mana instead of 1. Tower, if you control all 3, instead of tapping for 1, it taps for 3. So these 3 lands alone, when all 3 are on the field, tap for 7 mana by themselves, which is really good. Almost done with this deck, and almost done with this first stream. Activate of this only if you have 3 more artifacts. Now, there was a card I wanted to show you, which I didn't get to it. Search. And it allows you to search out everything, and you do it with Evolving Wilds and Terraforming Expanse, and you constantly gain life. Zephrum's Void. This is a scry land, but it doesn't enter in tap. So this is one of the first scry lands. Adds 1 colorless. Grixis. Now we got Jund, which is Savage Lands. Enters in tap, but it does black, red, or green. Temple Shrine, the same as the Shard, which enters in tap, but this does red, green, or white. Now we got Mirrodin's Core. Then you can remove a charge counter from Mirrodin's Core and add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Now we got Nomad Outpost. This is, forgot the name, Mardu. So it's red, white, and black. Enters in tap, so it's another color fix. Command Tower, color fix, mandatory and commander. And we have Sandsteep Citadel, which is Aspen, which is another color fix. And that is my Reaper King commander deck. Now, if you have any questions or anything like that, go ahead, put into the comments, and I'll try and make it a little more entertaining. with that, have a good day.